Hello, aloha to all. I wanted to talk about and share my perspectives on not necessarily Hollywood, but the the storyline, the chess game that gets played, the whole checkerboard or chessboard, and game theory. We see all the time. People tell stories about, oh yeah, this is they sold their souls to the devil and all this. And I was thinking earlier today about the whole idea of the devil and the energy that gets created with these storylines and creation and destruction and lightness and dark and sub stories that get created in order to further enslave or create the story of an enslaved mind with illusions. So yeah, it's one of the biggest illusion machines getting pumped out there, keeping people in a caterpillar mode. Uh, when we're able to fly, but So anyway, the main point was Hollywood and both sides, or all, however many sides can be shared. Oh man, you don't stop my little flow. I'm gonna turn. That's why I muted it now. So anyway, Hollywood, the commercial world, and I can't believe they stopped that right in the middle of the song. It's pretty funny. But okay, yeah. So the roles that are out there. So I'm watching movies from a long time ago and how actors have been, uh, kind of caught up in the system or unaware of being used at times for what their characters are saying to, you know, subconsciously sharing with people, and then you see shifts and changes later on. Yeah. Huh. It does look like the NASA thing, or the NASA thing does look like that. It's pretty crazy. Anyway. Yep. So, Hollywood actors. Oh! Going back from, so unaware of deep subconscious stories that are being implanted into child's minds and being implanted into a collective uh, a collective a collective a collective heart. So because now, some like 20 years, however many years down the road now, you see a lot of actors and even especially musicians, you can see lyrics changing and albums changing, and involvement is changing a little bit. Uh, so just an observation of change, like there's contracts. So back to that, the contract signing those contracts into that world, into that agreement. So I was asking, like, or thinking, like, it's possible that they go to these extremes. These contracts are deep. There are extreme contracts that go on for years, and I was just seeing these whole like possibilities. So in the game, there's like each movie or each album has like a number value to it, an energetic value to it. So it'll put out this kind of space of it'll put out this much energy, but at the same time, it'll sell a sub story. Um, the way it's being presented, the way the magicians put these these uh, these albums or movies out there, the way they tell the stories, and the whole the style of it. So there's like an awareness of these sub stories, because you can see all of the cube symbolism throughout movies. You can see where actors are aware of it, and then where actors are not aware of it, because they're playing with it and they're doing all kinds of, it's just this, it's blatantly obvious. And you can see how some have been engaging in certain styles. They change and adjust the styles and the flow and how the, so if you look at movies and listen to music from a totally metaphorical perspective, and you can even turn it on to listen to just for fun, to expand your imagination. There's storylines there that are very obvious, but listen to an entire album from a particular perspective. Listen to an entire a movie from one perspective, from like one version of reality. Like watch a movie and look for only the cube symbolism. Watch a movie and listen to only the things that are being said in the background, or watch only the things that are happening in the background, the subconscious stuff. Watch a movie and then listen to the background stories that are being sold. Like what are they? What storylines are being sold just underneath the surface to create an atmosphere between people, or to try to train people to think a certain way. Or, I mean, we've already been seeing all this stuff for a while. We can pay attention, but there's always something new that wasn't there before when you go back and revisit it and look at it from a different perspective. So revisiting a lot of things that even were really old or a long time ago, they're telling the same stories. I stumbled across an old Bill Cosby special from 1968 on CBS, where he was talking about race in America. And then you can see how today, what's happening today with the race in America today, the race, the so-called, like they're playing the antennas, I'll call the satellites, are playing a signal for the masses to envision a world, the antennas, to envision a world that is divided by race, and that will kill itself or destroy each other because of that, and do all kinds of other things, just unspeakable things. And some of these stories are just made up. Some of these stories are just made up. It is not a big surprise to just hear that an entire story that was put out to scare people into voting a certain way or thinking a certain way. Or you can see, like, one of the biggest things I want to talk about out there is the amount of helicopters that are flying around in the cities. and they're not needed at all. Like, these helicopters are flying around to tell fabricated stories, but on the subconscious level, they are really affecting people. It's not healthy for children to wake up to a helicopter out their window. It's not healthy for children to go to sleep listening to a helicopter fly outside, or seeing a spotlighted helicopter fly around, or hearing sirens all the time. We don't pay attention to all the stuff that's part of this grid that gets just like, oh, put out there as if that's just the way it is. You know, people got questions. People got questions about this stuff. It's that we can't just sit around and just let things, like, you know, we see them as little things, but they're big things. These are very big things. They create atmospheres. They create personality structures. They create vibrations of fear or love. What would you say? It's not love. It's fear. It's insecurity. It's whatever is being sold in that movie. And yes, that's exactly what it is. It's survival mode. It's all the survival mode, reminding us of only that potential in this reality, and then forgetting about the possibility beyond the survival mode mentality. And that's one of the biggest driving forces behind the whole monetary fiat system, and the whole hoarding of resources, and hoarding of information, and not really allowing people to hear the whole story or see the whole story. There's it's this predator mentality, like the animalistic like, bite your head off world, when there's beauty out there. And inside, just talk to a kid, talk to an elder, and just, you know, ask them about family stuff, or like what they think about life in general, and then you'll hear some really wonderful stories. But you turn the news on and you focus on that, and you'll see this. You'll just see destruction and all this other stuff. It's guaranteed. Guaranteed. You turn on the news, somebody's getting shot, something burned down, something is overflowing, something didn't happen, something so there's traffic somewhere, it's not raining somewhere, it's raining somewhere else. It's always the same story with subtle adjustments as whatever the grid, whatever they're selling at the moment. And it changes with how we respond, and how we react, and how we create this reality. It changes. So the storylines that get put out there, and then I'll go back before I end, the stories that get put out in Hollywood, there are people that are telling stories that are unaware of stuff, and then there are people that are telling stories that are very aware of stuff, and they're trying to help. And then there's like the story behind those stories, and how that whole story is being manipulated and shared with people, and what's going on in the teams. There's divided teams. There's teams being created right now, behind the curtain, within that whole world, and they're slowly but surely sharing stuff. And the webs, you're seeing the diversity of the various web makers. It's not just one spider, you know, here and there. No, it's a very intricate system. So there's various layers, and the main thing that I want to focus on this is the the intuition that we all have. Your own eyes, your own heart, your own feeling. You listen to yourself and listen to what's going on and see all the stories being played at the same time, at all times, because that story is part of all the little stories at the same time. Uh, so when stuff starts to come out about um, various movies that are being played in the public, like with HBO and the news and all that stuff, just look a little further. Think a little differently, and then other stories will be shown. So until next time, peace and love.